Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a story that many people don't know about, Porsche's very first electric car. And no, I'm not talking about the sleek Taycan that everyone's raving about. I'm talking about something that goes way, way back to the roots of the company, long before Tesla even existed. Buckle up, because you're about to learn the surprising history behind Porsche's first ever venture into electric vehicles. And trust me, it's not what you think. Before Porsche became the performance giant we know today, before the 911, the Le Mans wins, and the motorsport glory, there was just one man, Ferdinand Porsche. You see, Ferdinand wasn't just a car designer, he was a visionary, constantly dreaming up innovations that were ahead of their time. In fact, his interest in electric cars wasn't a recent development for the company. It dates all the way back to the early 1900s. That's right, at a time when the world was still coming to terms with the gasoline engine, Ferdinand was already thinking electric. Let's take a trip back to 1898. The world was still transitioning from horses to automobiles, and electric cars were actually quite popular, especially in cities where noise and pollution were becoming concerns even back then. And here's where Ferdinand Porsche comes in. At just 23 years old, he was hired by a company called Jacob Lohner and Company in Austria. His task? Create an electric vehicle. Simple, right? But what he ended up creating was nothing short of revolutionary. The Lohner-Porsche Elektromobil, the world's first hybrid vehicle. Yeah, hybrid. Not only was this vehicle powered by electric motors in its wheels, something that seems futuristic even today, but it also had a gasoline engine to extend its range. Sounds familiar? It should. It's basically a precursor to what we now call the hybrid. Okay, let's break down how this thing worked. Instead of using a traditional transmission, Ferdinand Porsche decided to place electric motors directly inside the wheels. Now, for context, this was mind-blowing technology for the time. Most cars were noisy, slow, and difficult to operate. The Lohner-Porsche, on the other hand, was smooth, silent, and, get this, capable of reaching speeds of up to 35 miles per hour. That's faster than most city traffic today. The in-wheel motors eliminated the need for a lot of heavy components, making the car surprisingly light for its time. It was simple, elegant, and effective, qualities that would later define Porsche's design philosophy. So why didn't we all switch to electric cars 100 years ago? Well, it wasn't because the technology didn't work. Ferdinand Porsche's design was genius, but the infrastructure wasn't there. The world was built around gasoline, and at that time, it was cheap and easy to come by. Charging stations? Yeah, those were non-existent. Plus, there was a psychological barrier. People were still getting used to the idea of cars in general, let alone cars that you had to plug in. And so, despite the brilliance of the Lohner-Porsche, it never gained mainstream traction. But Ferdinand didn't stop there. He knew the limitations of batteries at the time, so he developed a hybrid version of the Elektromobil. This version used a gasoline engine to power a generator, which in turn powered the electric motors in the wheels, kind of like today's plug-in hybrids. It was brilliant, but again, it didn't take off commercially. The world just wasn't ready for such forward-thinking technology. But this early hybrid model set the stage for many of the electric and hybrid concepts we see today. As Porsche evolved into the iconic brand we know, they focused on what made them famous, powerful, gasoline-fueled sports cars. The 911 became a legend, Le Mans wins stacked up, and Porsche's legacy seems cemented in high-performance, fuel-burning engines. But the seeds of electric innovation were always there, planted by Ferdinand Porsche himself. Fast forward to today, and Porsche is leading the charge, pun intended, into the electric future with the Porsche Taycan. What's fascinating is how this modern EV is built on the very ideas that Ferdinand Porsche had over a century ago. The Taycan's engineering is state-of-the-art, but the concept? It's rooted in history. So, what does this story tell us? Sometimes great ideas are just ahead of their time. Porsche's first electric car may not have taken off back in the early 1900s, but today, electric cars are more relevant than ever. As we look to the future of transportation, it's incredible to see how much of that future was already imagined over a century ago by one of the most innovative minds in automotive history. Thanks for sticking with me on this journey through the surprising history of Porsche's first electric car. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more deep dives into the hidden stories behind automotive legends, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. Until next time, keep driving forward.